It's a great honor and a great privilege to be here this evening. I want to start by thanking my dear brother Sheikh Sa'ad Taslim for sharing what was an absolutely heartfelt testimony about him struggling with a speech impediment. As they say, al-kalima kharajat min al-qalb dakhalat fil qalb. The word that comes out of the heart, it enters the heart. And the fact that someone took the initiative to help him get the assistance that he needed is really, really important. You know, I've mentioned in other places that my father actually suffers from a similar speech impediment, but there was no one to help him. And instead of going to a speech therapist, he started drinking. And he said that after a couple of drinks, he felt that his speech had less disfluency. And this led to him sliding into alcoholism. Just so it really connected with me, you know, what you said. In terms of my being here, I'm here for three principal reasons. The first, I was also approached by Sister Juhi, and she was so intrepid. I'm softening. I really want to say gangster. Right? But she had conviction that I could see burning in her eyes. I had given an address somewhere else, and she said, I want to talk to you about Muhsin. And I'm thinking to myself, I have a wife, 3 children at home. I just gave a speech. I'm trying to get to my car. But when she started speaking, I knew that I wanted to get involved with this organization because I feel that they are reinvigorating one of the most important sunan, one of the most important prophetic ways of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and that is an unapologetic investment in people. I'm not clapping for myself, I'm clapping for Muhsin. I want to make that clear. When we think about the mu'jizat, the miracles of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, many people think about him splitting the moon. And this is a mu'jiza, this is miraculous. Some people think about the Quran, and this is, of course, miraculous. Some people think about him stroking the udder of that she-goat and the goat giving copious amounts of milk, and this is miraculous. But what no one ever mentions is his investment in the Sahaba, radiyallahu anhum jami'an, and what that did for them, bringing out all of their individual abilities and talents. This is a kind of istiqamah, a kind of uprightness that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam embodied. And if we knew its value, we would be blown away by the work that this organization is doing. When you take on the prophetic trait of investing in people, and the most vulnerable of people and the least visible of people, this is a Muhammadan way. This is the way of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Whether they were invisible because of ethnicity, like Bilal, whether they were invisible because of special needs, like Abdullah ibn Maktoum, whether they were invisible because of their gender, like so many of the women of the companions, may God be pleased with all of them, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was there for them. Muhsin is an embodiment of that Muhammadan thrust, that touch. The second reason that I'm here is because of my Sheikh Sayyid Hamid Mahmoud in Darasa in Egypt. He lived maybe 5 minutes from Masjid Hussein. He was my teacher in Quran, and he is blind. He was born blind. He was born in Shubra al-Khayma. And I remember him telling me, now he would recite the Quran, 10 qira'at, 10 different styles, 10 different modes of recitation. And it sometimes seemed to me that the only English word he knew was no. I would recite to him, no. No. Iftah bo'ak, open your mouth. No. No. He was such a redoubtable man. He was such a formidable man. And I remember him telling me that even though he was born without the ability to see, because all of the facilities at Azhar were accessible, he was able to study at Azhar from the time he was in preschool until he finished his Alamiyah. That is a testament to something that once existed in the Muslim world. Now, they show us videos of animals being mistreated in the Muslim world. We used to care about people. What happened? What happened? I once read a hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam that he exited his house and he saw a man with an animal that he was about to slaughter. The animal was lying recumbent, mustalqi, on its side. And the man was sharpening the blade. And the Prophet said to the man, هَلْ تُرِيدُ أَن تَذْبَحَهُ مَرَّتَيْنِ? Do you want to take the animal's life twice? And the man looked up confusedly. And the Prophet ﷺ said, you're sharpening the implement with which you're going to take its life in view of the animal. Think about the psychological suffering this is causing for the animal. وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ. We have not sent you except as a mercy to everything that exists. We have people in our midst. لَقَدْ كَرَمْنَا بَنِي آدَمَ. Truly God has ennobled all of the daughters and sons of Adam. And we don't treat them with that respect, that dignity. But my sheikh could actually brag to me that all of the facilities at Azhar used to be accessible. And I learned everything that someone with sight would have learned. And then we would sit talking. And often, I'll tell you a very endearing story about Sheikh Sayyid. Like someone that loves their teacher, I would often go to his home unannounced. If I was just in the Rasa buying books, just hanging out with friends, I would say, I want to see Sheikh Sayyid smile. So I would just drop by his house. And as soon as he would open the door, he would look at me and say, Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh Ubaidullah. And I was always thinking, how does he know it's me? Because I didn't call. I didn't tell him that I was coming over that day. And so I would always ask him, how do you know it's me when I come to the door? And he would say, I have my ways. And me, being the sensationalist American that has seen far too many movies, I was thinking he must have some supernatural ability. It must be kashf, must be something God is revealing to him or something like that. And one day I said, Sheikh Sayyid, you have to tell me, how do you know that it's me when I come to the door? He said, come close. Do you really want to know? He's building the suspense. All of this is tashweeq. I'm like, I really want to know. No, you really want to know? I really want to know. He says, it's your sayr, it's your gate. He said, I'm always sitting by the window. You take the first two steps very quickly. The next three, you take more slowly. Then the final flight, you take them all of a sudden. Then you step and you knock. He says, I know everyone who comes to my door by how they take the steps. And I sat marveling at his brilliance. I said, you know everyone who comes to your door by how they take the steps? And in that moment, I knew this is not someone that could be labeled disabled. This is someone with special needs, but also special talents. And what the Prophet ﷺ was apt at doing was unlocking those special talents through serving those special needs. So when we are working with Muhsin, what we endeavor to do is not simply to serve our brothers and sisters that have special needs, but to benefit from our brothers and sisters that have special needs. But we cannot unlock that benefit unless we serve them. They have gifts to give us. We shouldn't even feel that we're doing them a favor. They're doing us a favor. I understand that both of my colleagues quoted that hadith, تُنْصَرُونَ وَتُرْزَقُونَ بِدُعَفَائِكُمْ, and gave both interpretations. You are given victory and you are given provision by your consideration for the most vulnerable among you, or by the struggle of the most vulnerable among you. I heard a hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, الْيَدُ الْعُلْيَا خَيْرٌ مِنَ الْيَدِ السُّفْلَى. The hand that gives is better than the hand that receives. Or literally, the upper hand is better than the lower hand. Some of the Sahaba radiallahu anhum jami'an, they would give people sadaqah and they would place the money on the bottom and allow the indigent person to take it from the top. This should be the spirit with which we engage Muhsin. We place what we offer on the bottom and we allow our brothers and sisters to take it from the top, because it is by virtue of their struggle that we are benefiting, that we are being given victory. This is the spirit in which we serve, that way. And I have personally been touched very deeply by someone that has special needs. And I know of the great talent, the great ability that exists among that contingent. And the last reason that I'm here is I want to make an attempt to acquit my own soul. God says in the Quran, هُوَ الَّذِي رَفَعَ بَعْدَكُمْ فَوْقَ بَعْدٍ دَرَجَاتٍ لِيَبْلُوَكُمْ فِي مَا آتَاكُمْ. It is God that raised some of you above others in rank so that he might test you in what he has given you. There is no privilege that anyone enjoys except that that privilege is accompanied by responsibility. And this is something that in our conversation about privilege societally is being lost. You know, once I was giving a talk at a medical school. It's in the Chicagoland area, so I will allow it to remain anonymous. And I gave the address, and afterward, I was seated at a table where some of the big wigs from the university and some of the students were seated. And this woman was sitting next to me, and she was very, very nice, very enthusiastic, very energetic, and we were having a very, very interesting discussion. The only thing that threw me off was that every time she wanted to make any point, she would preface her point by saying, as a white, middle class, cisgendered, heteronormative woman, I just want to say I think the weather's been lovely. Well, as a black, cisgender, heteronormative, middle class, if my check comes on time this month, I think the chicken penne is a little dry, you know what I'm saying? And it showed me that some of us are dealing with, and I'm not ridiculing that woman. I think she was making a serious effort to be conscientious, which is more than most of us can say. But I think many of us are dealing with the discomfiture of privilege through these kinds of linguistic gymnastics. When what you should be doing with privilege is serving those that don't enjoy what you enjoy. Not going through a preamble before you talk about chicken or before you talk about the weather, but by serving those who don't enjoy what you enjoy. Many of us will never know the extent of the challenges that Saad was talking about. We will never know the extent of the challenges of many of our brothers and sisters present this evening. But what we can do is make sure that we empathize with them. Not pity, not sympathy, not lip service, but the true ability to place myself there, and not placing myself there in the name of me being a savior, but seeing that in many ways, just like you are in need of me, I am also in need of you. My brothers, my sisters, who are the beneficiaries of this organization, the only thing I can offer is my brotherhood. I offer my words. I offer my service. And hopefully when the pledge cards come around, I can offer some of my resources. Thank you for allowing me to spend this evening with you. And this isn't just a speaking engagement for me. Sister Juhi, I want you to hold me accountable. Pull me in. I'm in the Hyde Park, Bronzeville area. I want to come and volunteer. I want to come and serve. I want to come and listen to some stories. I want to come and tell some stories. Thank you. We are all ennobled by this effort. Make sure when this noble woman comes to this podium, when she comes to this lectern, that you look upon someone doing the Prophet's work, and that you know that and that you hold that. And then try and emulate that. Jazakallah khairan wa salaam alaikum.